I'm coming for you, Ricky Bobby.
Hello folks and welcome to Paddock Pass, the Russian Grand Prix edition. Welcome to Sochi, lovely paddock here in the middle of the former Winter Olympic Park. It's great to be back in Russia, great to be back in Adler as it is. It's not really Sochi, it's Adler, just down the coast from Sochi. The weather is gorgeous. It was freezing when we landed yesterday, but has perked up today. So looking pretty nice for the weekend, expecting a little bit of rain for practice on Friday. Other than that, should be a blinder. In the intro there, Mr. Romain Grosjean, clearly a fan of Talladega Nights. He has signed officially as the first driver for Haas F1 next year. Obviously big news for us over the last week, announced as he was in Kannapolis just after the Japanese Grand Prix. So here is Romain Grosjean to talk about why he signed for Haas, and also the difficulties he faced in leaving Lotus, a team that he's had an association with for over 10 years. Congratulations. When did you make the decision to go, and how difficult a decision was it to leave Lotus?
So the decision was difficult on an emotional point of view, because I've known Enstone for 10 years, and all the guys, most of them know me since September 2005. I know every single corner of the factory, every man in the factory, and it's going to be hard to leave that group of people. On making the decision, I made it the week after the Italian Grand Prix. Weighted the pros and the cons, and then I think Gene Haas has been very successful in his company, in his business with Haas Automation. He came to NASCAR, created partnership with Stewart, and won the title twice. And then very clever way to come to Formula One. A very strong partnership with the biggest team, Ferrari. And from there the car should be good from the beginning. And I thought, for me, from a sporting point of view, trying to become world champion one day, that was the best chance. And very, very happy with the decision. Very, very happy to represent an American team in Formula One. I think 30 years, 1986, so I know the date. We don't have an American team, and that's going to be great. So if we can be on the podium as early as possible, it would be fantastic.
Is this about placing yourself into a shop window for Ferrari to have a better look at you?
Well, I think it's placing myself in a team that I think can achieve something good from early on. I think the way they came to Formula One, the way they've been working with the wind tunnel this year, all of that together should be that we have a good car early next year, which is important for me. Then of course it's closer to Ferrari than Renault, but it doesn't mean it's a too easy shortcut to say that when Kimi leaves they could be at Ferrari. I don't think about that. I think about putting the American team on the podium first of all.
Right answer. NASCAR, obviously, there's a team over there waiting. Any ideas, any thoughts about maybe taking a NASCAR out for a spin, getting to race?
I sat on a NASCAR car, on a Kurt Busch car at the shop. It looks big. There's something on your right-hand side, you don't see it in the middle. So I told the guys, if you give me a go, just make sure that this part is strong, because it may hit some walls. It could do. I think it would be quite special and quite unique to have a Formula One driver currently racing going to a NASCAR. But first, let me have a go, and then I'll tell you.
The last one, you're leaving Lotus, a team you love, a team you've had a rich history with over at Enstone. Who do you think should replace you at the team?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't even know what the team is going to be called next year. So thinking about the driver, I think it's a bit early. It's going to be hard to leave. The guys are going to miss me. I'm going to miss the guys. Having been through what we have been through, it's something that puts you all together quite strongly, and it's going to be hard. But who is going to replace me? I have no idea.
So, Romain Grosjean leaving Lotus. Who will replace him at Lotus? It's an interesting question, and as he said, depends massively on what guys the team takes next year. Of course, a letter of intent has been signed by Renault that they will purchase the team and turn it into the Renault factory team for 2016. That, of course, means Renault will no longer be supplying Red Bull Racing or indeed Toro Rosso with their engines for next year. And what engines those teams use is still very much up in the air. Renault won't be supplying them. Mercedes have already said they won't be, which pretty much leaves Ferrari and Ferrari alone. Red Bull Racing and Dietrich Mateschitz have said, however, if they do not have a competitive engine for next year, they will have no option but to pull out of Formula One. So where does that leave their drivers? We spoke to Danny Kvyat today on the eve of his home Grand Prix here in Sochi, and also to Carlos Sainz. Not just about looking forward to this weekend, but most crucially, how do you as a racing driver approach a race weekend? How do you not let stories affect you when your very future in the sport is under question? Here we are, home Grand Prix, representing Mother Russia. Looking forward to it, excited?
Yeah, it's a very nice feeling to be here, to see all the people that's giving me also some personal support. You know, it's great to see all the Russian flags, and the fact that the race is happening itself in Russia is great.
Last time we had the soft and the super soft, Red Bull much more competitive in Singapore. Are you expecting a step forward in your competitiveness this weekend?
Well, yeah, it's not Singapore, obviously. It was a circuit that we knew gonna suit us as good as possible. We probably don't expect the same pace here, but we have to keep trying to find the right compromise, right setup adjustments, and I think we can be quite competitive here as well. Yeah, we have to keep pushing.
How difficult is it for you as a racing driver, maybe not on a race weekend, but in between races, to not get carried away with all the talk about Red Bull threatening to pull out of the sport? Is it something that plays on your mind?
Well, it's not probably the best thing to know when these things are happening around you. You would like to know something about your future as early as possible, but you know, we have to understand that it's time of the right decisions, and I'm fully relying on the team right now about this sort of decisions. So we have to be patient. We have to just wait.
And just waiting, though, if they are to pull out, what do you do next year? Are you talking to other people?
If it is to happen, then we have to. Then there is more action happening. But I really hope this action will not happen. So, you know, I've been coming a long way with Red Bull. I think I really want to win together with Red Bull, and there is nothing else that matters for me at the moment.
How much are you looking forward to this weekend, and how difficult is it for you to keep focused on the job you've got to do, given all the uncertainty around Toro Rosso and what's going on from an engine perspective next year?
Yeah, if I'm fully honest, maybe you think I'm lying, but it doesn't bother the driver that much. When all these things is going on about the engine, you don't go to sleep thinking about what's going to happen for next year, or if I'm going to be in F1 or not. At the end, we have so many things to focus on as drivers, especially as a rookie. When you come new to a circuit, you keep traveling around the world non-stop, now that you really haven't really no time to think about. So it doesn't affect me personally. I don't know the others. I just know that I'm excited to be in Russia, a new track. It's always nice to get to know a new track. It should be a difficult weekend for us. A lot of straights out there, a lot of flat-out time that we know it's not the best for us, but excited to get to know a new track and keep going into the points.
So perhaps not here, perhaps not today or tomorrow or Saturday or Sunday, because you've got a race to focus on. But when you're sitting at home between Japan and here, and there's all the stories and Red Bull saying we're going to pull out of the sport, and you're sitting here in your debut season in Formula One thinking the guys who pay my way might pull out and I might not have a seat next year. You honestly say that doesn't come into your mind at all?
Well, it does come into your mind. You think about it 5 minutes and then it goes away. Why? Because if you think about it 5 minutes, you receive a call from your engineer, from your team boss. You ask him how is the situation. They say it's improving, it's the same, or it's worse. You think about it for 5 minutes, but it quickly gets out of your mind. No, as I said, you have so many other things to focus that it's like you have it in your mind and then you put it apart. No, and then you have another thing to think about and then you put it apart, and it's always like that. And it's not like you cannot sleep because of it. It's just it comes once in a while and it goes away quickly.
Williams approached this weekend expecting a good result. They were competitive here last year, Bottas fighting for the podium all the way to the end of the race. And they expect to be in a similar position this year. These wet tyres could come in use. Apparently, as we were saying earlier in the show, practice 2, it's going to be on Friday. We expect it to rain, which might hamper some learning. Are we expecting Mercedes to struggle on their tyres again this weekend? Soft and super soft in use for the first time since Singapore, and they had a nightmare there. With that in mind, we spoke to Felipe Massa today about how competitive he expects Williams to be, and also, if Mercedes do experience those problems, whether Williams could be in line for a win. Williams expecting a turn-up or a turnaround in performance this weekend. How hopeful are you of a good result here in Russia?
Yeah, I think it can be a good track for us. So it's a track that Our car was very competitive last year, so I believe we can be also this year competitive. And it's a track that will have a long straight, so which is good for us. And maybe tire degradation is quite low. Even if we have a softer tires here, it can be maybe even a one-stop race. So anyway, I'm really looking for that. We can have a very good point, not like I had in the last 2 races.
Last year you were second only to Mercedes. Last time we had softs and super softs, though, this year in Singapore, Mercedes were way off the pace. Can you guys win the race this weekend if Mercedes encounter the same problems they did in Singapore?
Yeah, I think it's not a track that is we don't have anything similar to Singapore on this track, so especially the asphalt is very, very smooth compared to Singapore. The gradation is much lower, so the temperature is different. So I don't believe Mercedes will be suffering here compared to what they were in Singapore. So, but if they have any problem we don't have, maybe it can be. So I really hope any opportunity we can have is always important.
Mercedes have said that the customer teams aren't going to get their latest development until next year now. How frustrating is it for you driving for a customer Mercedes team that every advancement you're making, the big, most important part of the car sitting in the back driving you forwards, is not as good as the factory team?
Yeah, I think, if you ask me what I want the best for the car all the time, all the moment. Working every day, every week to improve maybe 1/10, and then maybe if you're missing 1-2 tenths, doesn't matter. It's difficult to know how much is the difference. It's not really fantastic. So, but we will keep pushing, all the time, every moment to have the best as we can around the car, and that's what we need to do.